Hi there, Ed Psych students. I just wanted to make a quick video for you. This tends to work a little bit better for me. In the past, when I've taught Ed Psych, I have individually responded to every student on every discussion board, and I commonly find myself saying the same things and then adding a few individual comments. So this time-wise makes better sense for me. I read through your comments and then I'm going to try to make just generalized statements with regard to the content. I think it's a little bit more interactive, and then you can get my 2 cents and then you can reply back. So I will put this post with Module 2. Remember, Module 2 had to do with Chapter 2 in the Woolfolk text, and that was really about brain development and those important structures that students have with regard to how the brain works and how learning occurs. I would ask that in that module you don't hone in as much as far as the cognitive development with regard to how the brain structure works, but of course cognitive development as far as how learning occurs and the importance of that in the classroom. And within the book it talks about how plastic the brain is and how moldable it is. And we used to think there was a very opportune time for learning. Around the age of 10, they always said, hey, that's the best time to learn a sport or a foreign language. And Woolfolk states that in some regard, but also kind of blows that theory out of the water that we are teachable and learnable human beings, but also as a young person, you do have a more plastic and moldable brain. And that's why we go to school early and we don't go to school when we're 45. Like me. So anyway, I really like that. I really like the sections that talk about the things you can do as a teacher. It's around page 40, 41 to 42. There's 10 items that are listed in Chapter 2 that I find to be quite important. A list of about 10 items that teachers can do to help students with regard to kind of their brain development and helping that development in the classroom. One of the fast facts that I love about this chapter is it talks about the pruning of the brain. And the pruning of the brain is where, when we aren't using those extensions, those synapses extensions within our brain actually prunes those ends and makes like fresh ends, like a tree, so we can grow and bud in different ways and in new learning opportunities. What I find to be interesting is that we talk about students with disabilities a lot, and we think that that the pruning wouldn't actually occur, and it does not. We would think that brain development wouldn't be as great, and actually it's over brain development and the lack of pruning within most children with special needs that we see with regard to brain development. So it kind of makes sense in the fact that they have lots of different branches going all over, and it's hard for their brain to grasp or get control of those learning mechanisms. So it's actually overdevelopment of the brain and not underdevelopment with regard to all of those different extensions going all over in the brain. And lastly, when you watch the brain videos, I think a lot of you commented, as in past semesters, all 3 sections of this course will say the same thing. Regardless of what video you watched, most of you would say how fundamentally vast the brain is and how it's still such a mystery, even though we know a lot with regard to research and all the videos that you watched with regard to crazy things that have happened with regard to people's brains. The guy that gets struck by lightning, all of a sudden he's considered a savant and can do crazy calculations, and there's tons of videos out on YouTube that basically hone in on that same idea that the brain really is a mystery, no matter how much money we pour into it or how much research we do. But what we know is not a mystery is that each child does learn so differently, and I think that's kind of the big takeaway from Chapter 2 is that idea that differentiated instruction is really important because no 2 brains are alike. And then you add in not even the nature part, but the nurture part, and you think about all the different ways in which students are affected by family structure, by society, by peers, which gets into Chapter 3, peers and cliques. And so you start just realizing this overarching idea that each student is different, and differentiated instruction is really, really important in the classroom. So anyway, I wanted to leave you with that. And I will move on to making a Module 3 video, which is actually one of my favorite chapters, is Chapter 3. So anyway, I hope this kind of helps you out. I'd like to give you general feedback. Most of the responses I saw were spot on, and I could tell that most of you really, really liked the videos with regard to brain research and development. So anyway, have a good weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.